Today I want to talk about the FlySky GT3C radio. This is a budget radio, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And right now it's actually my favorite radio. There's a lot of reasons for that. There's a whole lot of pluses and pros to this radio. There's a couple of cons, and we're going to talk about those in detail. And we're also going to have two more videos on this radio, one being modifications and one being customizations. So let's take a look. So this is the FlySky GT3C radio, and I said it's a budget radio in the intro there, and at the current filming time of this video, Asiatees has this radio for about $45, and that does put it on the lower end spectrum, especially for a 3-channel radio. I believe there's a time and place for radios like a Futaba 4PK, which is several $100s at the time of this video, and it's probably one of the best radios out there, arguably, among others. But I think for most people, unless you're a really hardcore racer or you're a really hardcore drifter looking for the ultimate reaction times, I don't think those radios are necessary for most people. We all love to have the latest and greatest and the best, but it just doesn't always really fit the need. Now, the GT3C radio, as you see here, as I said, is a 3-channel radio. You've got a full backlit display. You have a power button here. So it is a backlit display. It's not the greatest display, but it's easily readable in lots of different kinds of lights. Direct sunlight obviously isn't always the greatest, but very few things are the greatest in the direct sunlight. You have the ability to go through and change all of your trims, your namings, your models. It is a 10 model memory. And it does display the voltage here. It does have a low voltage warning, which is at about 3.5 volts. And it just has a lot of great features. It is a very lightweight radio, which is one of my favorite things about it, because when you go out on a long trail ride like we do with, say, 4 or 5 hours sometimes in the total day that you're spending, maybe even more, having a traditional radio that uses even 4 AA batteries, the weight is it's probably twice as much. The weight on this is, I think, right around 300 grams. I'm going to put up a full spec sheet in just a moment here in this video as an overlay, so you'll be able to see everything. But it is very, very light. It is also powered by a LiPo. And if we just slide the cover off here, pop it up, you can see the included LiPo battery is a 800 milliamp battery, which lasts a good long time. However, again, at the time of filming right now, you can get additional batteries for, I think, around $11 or so. And you can also get additional receivers for right around the same price. So coming with this radio, you get the radio itself, of course. You get the 3-channel receiver. You get the LiPo battery, you get a CD so that you can run that into your computer and download firmware updates for the radio. And you also get a cable, which is your charging cable. And that cable plugs in here to a USB port and then plugs into your computer on a USB port. And you have an LED light right here on the top. And when it's charging, that light is red. And when it's done in full, that light turns green. So it's nice and simple. You can plug it into any USB source, whether it be using like what you have for an iPhone, for example, running USB to the wall, and then you can plug your radio directly into the wall, or you can plug it into your computer. Doesn't really matter. It also comes with 2 different grip sizes. These grips just come off. It's a rubber grip, but it just pops off. And you get a small and a large, and this one happens to be the small that's on here currently, so you can adjust to a little bit, a little degree, the way the radio actually fits in your hand. So if you have a smaller hand, smaller grip size, then this would be the size that you'd want to use, or if this is for a child, then you'd want to use this size. If you happen to have some large hands, then maybe you want the larger grip. Another nice thing is that the size in the trigger itself is not very large. On some of the Futaba radios that I've had, there's a large distance that your finger has to move before you move from one direction to the other. So if you're on the gas and you want to brake, your finger moves a long distance before you actually get into that braking zone. Whereas with this, it happens to fit my finger fairly well. And I have, I guess I would say, medium to large hands. And I still use the small grip, so it fits nice, it fits well, and it fits around my finger well. It also doesn't have any problems, wearing a pair of gloves. If you're wearing a winter glove, obviously that could be a little bit hard, but a thin pair of gloves, not a problem to use those. Now, some of the problems with this radio. Number one is there can be issues with the power button here. They've fixed a lot of the issues with these radios. They've been out for a little while, so the first generation ones had more problems than the later generation ones. But the power button can be a little bit, I guess we would say, problematic. For some people, they never have an issue with it, and they can use the radio forever, and they'll never encounter it. For other people, the power button, because it's inside the wheel, they have some problems, and there are ways to overcome that. You can put in your own button. Some people have put it here on the front. Some people have put it here behind the wheel itself. There's a number of different things that you can do to relocate the power button if you have a problem with that. So it's not an issue where if it stops working, you just have to throw the radio away. It's just you'll have to do a little bit of customizing. And we'll talk about that when we take the radio apart in another video to do some customizations and to do some upgrades to it. This really is a great radio. I can't say enough about it. I have two in my collection now. My son's going to be getting a crawler soon. He's going to be getting one of these radios because it's lightweight. It does have a connection point here for running a neck strap, so you can just hang it off of your neck, and if you need to use both your hands for whatever reason to pick up your car or take a drink or whatever it happens to be, it hangs from the neck strap and you don't even notice it's there. And it makes a huge difference when you're spending a long day out on trail and having that extra weight of a radio that has 4 or even worse 8 AA batteries. It's just draining, and you don't realize it until you start using a radio that's as light as this one is. The last outing that I did was the Glug Run, and sadly we didn't get any video footage from that because of the weather, but there are some photos you can see up on the website. And it made a huge difference having a lighter weight radio. I just didn't even think about the radio, and I was able to enjoy the event more. I didn't worry about having to where I could put it down because my last radio did not have the attachment point, so I just had this hanging from my neck, and when it was hanging there, I didn't even feel it. So all in all, I can't recommend this radio enough. It is a great radio, even though it's a budget radio. I think for the majority of people, especially if you're running a crawler, there really isn't anything better than this radio in my opinion in terms of for what fits the needs that you probably have. If you're one of those people that's running a competition style crawler with 4-wheel steering and things like that, you probably want a 2-stick radio or something, and maybe not this. But for the average trail guy or average crawler guy, I don't think you need anything more than this, and especially when we start covering in the next 2 videos the customization and the upgrades. There's definitely not going to be a need for something more unless you want a 2-stick for doing 4-wheel steering or some other crazy things like that, where you're having multiple things going on at once with your vehicle, say like with a semi-truck or something like that. So that's the FlySky GT3C radio. I can't recommend it enough. It's a great radio. It's a budget radio. It won't break the bank. Like I said, it's about $45 at the time of this filming. Additional batteries and receivers are available at a very low cost. So give it a look. If you know somebody that has one, ask them if you can give it a try. If you see me on a trail somewhere, then by all means, come and talk to me. Take a look at it. I'll let you give it a try and see what you think.